An officer steps in front of you on the pavement at your own front gate, coming out of a shop, and says 4 words. Name and address, please. And in the next 10 seconds, you are going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to handle it calmly on the right side of the law and walk away, or you're going to make one of the 2 mistakes almost everybody makes here and turn a nothing encounter into a real problem. Because here's what nobody tells you. Most people hand over far, far more than the law actually requires. Their name, their address, where they've been, where they're going, the whole story, because they assume they have to. And a smaller group make the opposite mistake. They've half heard that you don't have to tell the police anything, so they fold their arms and refuse in a situation where they actually did have to give their details, and they get arrested for it. Both of those people got the law wrong, and the single most useful thing I can teach you today is the exact line between the two. When you genuinely have to give your name in England and Wales, when you absolutely do not, and the calm words that keep you on the right side of it every single time. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll never be caught out by name and address again. I'm Oliver Bennett. I'm a criminal defense solicitor here in England and Wales, and for 15 years, who I am, I've stood next to ordinary people at the worst moments of their lives, in police stations, in interview rooms, in the dock. And I'll tell you, the number of people I've watched get themselves into trouble over this one question, what's your name, would genuinely surprise you. Not criminals, ordinary, decent people who simply never got told where the line is. So let me be the one who tells you. Let me make it real, because this happens exactly the way I'm about to describe it. Picture a man, meet Tom. 2 ways to get it wrong, walking home in the evening. Call him Tom. He's done nothing wrong, he's just walking. A police car pulls up, an officer gets out and says, "Evening, what's your name and where do you live?" Now watch the 2 ways Tom can get this wrong. In the first version, Tom is nervous and eager to please, so he tells them everything. His name, his address, then because they keep talking, where he's just been, who he was with, why he's out, he's answered every question, volunteered a small mountain of information about himself, and handed the officer a complete picture, none of which he was under any obligation to give. In the second version, Tom's heard somewhere that he doesn't have to talk to the police, so he gets defensive and snaps. "I don't have to tell you anything, leave me alone," and marches off. And in some situations, that Tom has just committed a criminal offense and is about to be arrested. Same question, 2 opposite mistakes. This video is so that you are neither Tom, so that you know calmly and exactly which situation you're actually in. So let's start with the rule that surprises almost everyone, because it's the foundation of the whole thing. In England and Wales, there is no general. The default, no general power to demand your name. Power that forces you to give the police your name. Let me say that again slowly, because people find it genuinely hard to believe. There is no law that says an officer can walk up to you in the street for no particular reason, demand your name and address, and require you to hand them over. We don't have what some countries call a stop and identify law. If an officer simply asks, with no specific power behind it, you are in law perfectly entitled to politely decline to answer and to go on your way. Refusing to give your name on its own, when no specific power is in play, is not a criminal offense. That's the starting point. That's the ground you're standing on. Most people have no idea they're standing on it. And while we're here, let me kill off a myth that trips people up constantly because it sits right underneath this. There is no national DID myth. No duty to carry ID, identity card, in this country. And there is no law that says you must carry identification on you as you go about your day. So if an officer says, "Show me some ID" in an ordinary street encounter, understand that outside the specific situations we're about to cover, you're not committing any offense simply by not having any on you. And you're not obliged to produce documents you're not legally required to carry. People hear ID and instantly feel guilty, as though they've been caught out. You haven't. Not carrying a card is not a crime, and being unable to produce one on its own is not grounds for anything. Keep that in your back pocket too, because officers know most people don't know it. But, and this is the part you must get right, because this is where people come unstuck, that general freedom, the exceptions when you must give your details, as specific exceptions carved into it by Parliament. There are particular situations where a specific law switches on, and in those situations, you genuinely must give your details, and refusing becomes an offense. Knowing this side of the line is just as important as knowing the other, because this is the half that keeps you out of a cell. So let me walk you through the ones that actually matter in everyday life. The big one, the one that catches most people, is driving. The moment you are the driver. Exception 1. Driving. RTAS.164/165. Of a vehicle, everything changes. Under the Road Traffic Act, an officer can require you to produce your driving license and to give your name and address and the name and address of the vehicle's owner. That's Section 164 and Section 165 of that Act. And failing to give those details when you're lawfully required to is itself an offense. So if you are behind the wheel and an officer stops the car and asks who you are, that is not the moment to talk about no general power. Behind the wheel, the power is real and specific, and you comply. Driving is a licensed activity, and giving your identity as a driver is part of the deal. Get that one clear in your head and keep it separate from everything else, because it's the exception people trip over most. The exception 2, antisocial behavior, S.50. Second one is antisocial behavior. There's a power under Section 50 of the Police Reform Act 2002, and it works like this. If a police officer in uniform has reasonable grounds to believe that you have been or are being antisocial, meaning behaving in a way that's caused or is likely to cause harassment, alarm, or distress to someone, then the officer can require you to give your name and address. And if you refuse, or if you give a false name or a made-up address, that is a criminal offense. You can be fined up to £1,000 and you can be arrested for it on the spot. Now notice the limits because they matter. That power belongs to an officer in uniform. It needs an actual reasonable belief that you've been antisocial, not just idle curiosity. And it entitles them to your name and address only, not your date of birth, not where you're going, not your life story. So this is a genuine you must, but a narrow one with conditions attached. And here's where you need your wits about you, because Section 50 is a power officers reach. How officers stretch S.50 and how to test it for when they want your details and haven't got another way to get them. It can get stretched. Standing on a corner, filming in public, asking an officer a question they don't like, simply being somewhere they'd rather you weren't. None of that is antisocial behavior, and none of it by itself gives them Section 50. The power needs a real, reasonable belief that you've caused or are likely to cause harassment, alarm, or distress to someone. So if an officer leans on you for your name and address and waves the words antisocial at you, you're entitled to test it calmly. Can I ask what antisocial behavior you say I've been involved in? Make them put it into words. If there's a genuine answer, you'll hear it and you comply. And if the honest answer is that there isn't one, that they just wanted your details and reached for the nearest lever, then you've quietly shown them, without a raised voice, that you know this power has limits and you expect them to stay inside them. You're not refusing to cooperate. You're asking them to justify the power before you treat it as one. And there's a third everyday situation worth knowing. If you're being reported for an offense, think a driving matter or a fixed penalty, you can be required to give your details so that the process can actually happen. And I'll add one thing for completeness, because I know some of you are watching from north of the border. In Scotland, the rules are, being reported, Scotland is different. The police there do have a broader power to require your details in more situations. But this channel is England and Wales, and everything I'm telling you today is the law here. So already you can see the shape of it. The default is no general power. You don't have to give your name. The exceptions are specific and identifiable. You're driving, or an officer reasonably believes you've been antisocial, or you're being reported for something. And the whole trick, the thing that keeps you calm and safe, is being able to tell in the moment which one you're in. Which brings me to stop and search, because this is where people get the two things tangled up. A stop and search is its own separate power, and I need you to understand how it interacts with all this because it confuses people constantly. If an officer has reasonable grounds to search you, for drugs, for a weapon, for stolen goods, that search power stands on its own. And here's the key thing, you cannot refuse a lawful stop and search. You can't refuse a lawful one search. If the grounds are there, the search is happening, and physically resisting it can be an offense in itself. But, and this is the part almost nobody knows, you are not required to give your name and address for the search itself. The search can happen whether or not you tell them who you are. So being searched does not by itself drag your name out of you. There are two different questions. Keep them separate. And in any stop and search, the officer has to tell you certain things before they lay a hand on you. There's a set of them. The police remember with the word go wisely. They must give you their name and the station they're from. The object of the search, go wisely. Make them name the power what they're looking for, the legal power they're using, the grounds, and your entitlement to a written record of the whole thing. Now think about how powerful that is for you. It means you get to hear out loud the exact power they claim to be using. And a power that has to be named is a power you can check on the day and afterwards. Which leads me to the single most useful sentence in this entire video. The pivot question that cuts through all of it. When an officer is asking you things and you're genuinely not sure whether you have to answer, you ask calmly and politely. Am the pivot line. Am I being detained? I being detained, or am I free to go? That one question does an enormous amount of work. Because if you are not being detained under some specific power, then you are free. And if you're free to go, you can simply courteously go. And if you are being detained, then they must be able to tell you the power they're using to detain you. And now you know exactly what situation you're in. You can follow it with, what power are you using? Said evenly, without attitude. Those two questions instantly move you from guessing to knowing. They separate a lawful requirement from an officer simply chancing it. And officers do chance it all the time, precisely because they're relying on you not knowing the difference. Now, there's a mistake I really need you to avoid, because it's the one that quietly does the most damage. And it's got nothing to do with your name. It's volunteering. Don't volunteer. Giving your name when a real power requires it is one thing. Answering questions is a completely different thing. And you are almost never obliged to do that. Where have you been tonight? Where are you heading? What were you doing there? Have you got anything on you? You do not have to get into any of that. Handing over your name under Section 50, if that power genuinely applies, does not mean you've signed up to narrate your entire evening. And this is where the nervous, eager-to-please version of Tom ends away everything. Not because the law made him, but because the silence felt awkward and the officer kept the questions coming. You can be completely polite and simply not go there. I'd rather not get into that. Say this instead. You are allowed to be calm, cooperative about the things you must do, and quietly silent about the things you don't. That combination is the whole game. So, let me put it all together into what you actually say and do, because this is the part that protects you. Picture it. An officer stops you and asks for your name. Your first calm move is the pivot. Can I ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? If the honest answer is that you're free to go, then you can thank them and leave. You are never obliged to give anything. If they say you're being detained or that they're using a power, your next quiet question is, which power are you using, please? Now you make them say it out loud. If they name a real one that applies to you, you're the driver, or they're telling you they reasonably believe you've been antisocial, then you give the specific thing that power requires, your name and address, calmly and nothing more. You do not argue about whether the power applies while you're standing on the street. That's a fight for afterwards, not for the pavement. And if they can't name a power and you're not driving and there's no search and no suggestion of antisocial behavior, then you are very likely in that default space where you simply did not have to answer and you can politely be on your way. And through all of it, you keep three things in your head. You stay calm and polite because aggression is the one thing that can turn he wasn't doing anything into he was causing alarm and distress. And you do not want to hand them that. You give only what the specific power actually requires, your name and address if it genuinely applies and not the running commentary. And you never ever give a false name or a made-up address when a power does apply, because that, unlike silence, is a clear offense and it's a needless one. Comply with what's real. Stay quiet on what isn't. Keep your temper the whole way through. And here's the underlying principle that ties this together. The one I come back to on this channel again and again, because it's the difference between people who walk away clean and people who don't. You comply. Comply on the day, challenge after. On the day and you challenge it afterwards. If an officer insists on a power and you think they've got it wrong, the street is not the place to prove it. You give them what the power requires. You stay calm. You make sure you've got that written record if it was a search. You note their names and numbers and the time and place. And if it was wrong, that's when you take it further. A formal complaint, and if it's serious, the independent police watchdog and a solicitor if anything came of it. Your dignity on the day is calm cooperation. Your power afterwards is the record, never the other way around. And knowing exactly where these lines fall, when you must give your details and when you genuinely don't. The powers that switch the rules on, the precise words to say in the moment, and how to challenge it properly if they overstepped, is the whole reason I put together a short, plain English guide to your rights in any police encounter in England and Wales. It's called the Know Your Rights Handbook, Your Rights Handbook. It lays out calmly and without the jargon everything we've covered today and a good deal more. The stop, the search, the questions you don't have to answer, the doorstep, the car, all of it in one place, in language a normal human being can actually use when it counts. I'm not going to give you a hard sell. If this video has been useful to you, the handbook is the whole thing in your pocket, ready before you ever need it, and the link's in the description whenever you want it. So let me bring it home because I want this to stick with you. When an officer says name and address, understand what you're actually being asked, and ask yourself which situation you're in. Remember the recap, the whole rule in a minute. Default in England and Wales. There's no general power that forces you to give your name, and refusing on its own is not an offense. Remember the exceptions that switch that off. You're the driver of a vehicle, or an officer in uniform reasonably believe you've been antisocial, or you're being reported for something, and in those you give your name and address. Calmly, because refusing or lying there is the offense. Remember the pivot that tells you which one it is. Am I being detained or am I free to go? What power are you using? Remember that a search is separate. You can't refuse a lawful one, but you don't have to give your name for it. And remember that answering their questions is almost always optional, even when giving your name isn't. Comply with what's real. Stay quiet on the rest. Keep calm throughout. Because here's the truth of it. In that moment, the officer is very often relying on one thing, that you don't know where the line is. That you'll either hand over everything out of nerves or refuse everything out of bravado. And that either way, you'll get it wrong. The most powerful thing you can do, the one move plus subscribe can do, is stand there calmly and show them in one quiet sentence that you know exactly where the line falls. That changes the entire encounter. If this helped you, and I hope it genuinely did, do two things for me. Have a look at the pinned comment and the description, where I've left those exact words written out so they're in your pocket before you ever need them. And subscribe, because every week I break down another one of these in plain English, so that when it's you standing there, you already know your rights better than the person testing them. I'm Oliver Bennett, know your rights, because the people who know them are the ones who walk away. I'll see you in the next.